It was the night of Thanksgiving. I've been married, had kids, gotten divorced, retired, and watched all my children grow up and leave home. I didn't want to spend my final years alone, nor did I want to remarry, so I decided to get a roommate. That's when I got back into contact with an old friend, a guy named Frank. In all honesty, Frank and I used to be good friends, but that was probably 30 years before we started living under the same roof. Back in the day, we could complain to each other about work, women, and children, but none of that stuff was a factor in either of our lives anymore. As it turned out, we were both bitter assholes who were impossible to live with. Every single day, there was a new pointless argument over some stupid little shit. We could never compromise or work together on anything. We cooked our food and cleaned up our own messes. I had my side of the fridge and he had his. Our bathrooms were separate. Hell, we even had designated seats in the living room. For Thanksgiving this year, neither of our families wanted us around, which left us stuck together. Food was always our biggest point of contention, so there was an unspoken agreement between Frank and I that I would make and eat my own Thanksgiving dinner and he would worry about his own. By the time I was finished, I was exhausted from both the cooking and the heavy eating. The rest of the turkey needed to come to room temperature before I put it in the fridge anyway, so I left it on the counter and went to my room for a nap. But not before giving Frank an explicit warning. Hey, Frank, I'm laying down for a bit. Don't eat my turkey! Sometime later, I woke up much later than I expected. It was night out, which meant I must have slept for at least 3 hours. I turned on my bedside lamp and tried to get a bearing on things. I hadn't planned on sleeping for so long, so I was a bit disoriented. As I came to, I heard some noises outside my door. It didn't sound like one of Frank's TV shows, as it's usually some war documentary playing at maximum volume while he sleeps on the recliner. This was different, quieter. Too quiet for Frank to be listening to it, but loud enough for him to be making the sound. With a significant degree of suspicion, I crept up to my door and opened it. The sounds coming down the hallway were clearer now. It was coming from the kitchen, yet there were no lights on anywhere except my room, so there was no way he could have been cooking. Quietly, I shuffled my way down the hall. I knew Frank wouldn't hear me coming, so I knew whatever he was doing, I was about to catch him red-handed. Once I reached the end of the hall, I poked my head around the corner, and sure enough, there he was. My turkey was still sitting on the kitchen counter, and Frank was hunched over it, pulling it apart with his bare hands and eating it like a wild animal. I don't know what came over me in that moment, but I couldn't contain my anger with him anymore. Frank! Frank! Cut that out! I said hands off my turkey, damn it! Oh, shit! Frank! 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 I never meant to make him fall over. I knew he was too old to handle a fall. I was just so angry. All I wanted to do was get him away from my turkey, but I pushed too hard. Way too hard. Reality set in very quickly, and in a last-ditch effort to save Frank's life, I called 911. They took him to the hospital, but there was nothing they could do. His neck was broken in the fall. Knowing he died by my hands, I didn't argue with the police when they arrested me. It's funny to think I became roommates with Frank because I didn't want to die alone, but all I did was kill him. And now, I'll be lucky to die with a cellmate.
An 80-year-old man was taken out in an alleged altercation over Thanksgiving dinner, and his longtime roommate and friend charged in his death claims it was merely an accident. Richard Lombardi, 65, entered the courtroom on Friday after being charged with involuntary manslaughter and assault and battery on a person over 60. Lombardi's roommate, Frank Griswold, was pronounced dead at the hospital on Wednesday night after police say he was pushed to the ground by Lombardi, hitting his head and breaking his neck and nose in the fall. According to court documents, Lombardi said he asked Griswold not to go near the turkey he had made for Thanksgiving dinner. When Griswold went into the kitchen to wash dishes near the turkey, Lombardi grabbed him and pushed him to the side, causing his feet to be tangled underneath him, sending him to the ground. The two men were friends and had been living together since 2001. Lombardi is currently being held without bail.